Borderlands is finally out, and is it what
Finally.
is it what everyone was expecting? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. With me is Daniel. Daniel, quick fire thoughts on Borderlands. What'd you think?
Oh man, Borderlands. Well, I haven't played the game, so I don't know how true to the game
Hmm.
the movie was. I know of Borderlands, but I never played the game, so therefore I can't. The characters weren't that familiar to me, except for the psychos, which are there on the cover of Borderlands. So I definitely recognize the psychos.
Hmm.
Um, into the movie. Um, there was a plot. There was a plot.
Yeah,
That's it.
there was
They
a
were just
plot.
looking for a hole in the wall, a hole in the ground, and that was a plot. Everything moves so quickly, so
Yes.
you just don't know. Well, I mean, I guess you know what's going on, but there's no depth to anything that happened in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much it was expected, right? Or at least I expected it. Like you, I do have a little bit of experience with the games. I played a little bit of 1 and 3. Oh no, the pre-sequel and 3. I still don't know a lot of the lore or anything. I do know that obviously it's like cell shaded and it's like a first person shooter, kind of like, yeah, like sandbox. And I
Hmm.
know that it's like really comedic and it's very hit or miss with the writing, as in like the jokes can be a bit much at times where people just find it annoying.
I just found you annoying.
And this movie did have some of that to its credit, where it's just like, all right, it's a little bit much. Um, but yeah, so that's
It was a robot.
exactly claptrap.
Yeah,
Um,
Claptrap. That's his name. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, for the movie itself, yeah, just like you, I like when we went in there to watch it, we had heard already that it was bad. It premiered on with a Rotten Tomato score of 0%, which is pretty 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 big. Um, and so when I told you like, hey, let's go watch this thing, obviously the first thing on anyone's mind would be like, why? Like we heard how bad it was, and then I was hoping that this movie would be one of those so bad it's good movies where it's just like, holy crap, they did this shit and blah blah blah. Um, the movie was so bad it didn't even give us that. It didn't give us like that like entertaining factor where it's just like, oh my god, this is this, like, you gotta watch this. You're not gonna believe this thing's out. Like, no, this unfortunately what this movie gave us was like something worse, which is like something that it's so empty. Like that's how I left the theater. I just felt empty. That's what I told you. I'm like, I felt nothing for this film. It was boring. Some jokes did hit, but then I did also tell you I don't know if it hit because it was a good joke or just because, like, when you're in a movie like 2 hours flat and you're just bored out of your mind and they do something that like is a little like humorous, that I just like finally something happened. I don't know what that was, but yeah, overall, unfortunately, I wasn't a fan of the film.
I mean, Claptrap was kind of the make and break of what you're talking about. There's times when he's just like, God, shut up. But there's sometimes where it's like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
he represents the movie kind of perfectly. It's just like out of every 10, he hits like two. And I'm just like, okay, 20%. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
And like I said, he's like the one thing that they did get from the games right, because like
Hmm.
in the game, uh yeah, he just never shuts up, and there's a lot of hits and a lot of misses as well. And if you were to
Hmm.
go like online, yeah, that's one of the things where it's like not just claptrap but like the overall writing of the game. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
my god, shut up, or it like just like garbage humor, and stuff like that. But yeah,
I'm
this,
I'm a pretty big fan of garbage humor, so like I don't
yeah.
know, that's right up my alley. But it's just I don't know, it just is. there's no substance to anything that happened. You're just like there's no
Yeah.
gratification, there's no reward to your wait. It's just kind of like okay. And a lot of the things that happened were predictable. I was like, oh, I kind of figured that that was going to happen. With, they introduced Clap. Like I said, I don't know the origin. I never played the
Hmm.
game, so I don't know the story behind it. But I knew Claptrap was I don't know the main um character's name.
Yeah, that's how forgettable it was. Jesus
Yeah. So
Christ.
like even with her, I just kind of knew like okay, like I'm
It
pretty
was
sure that the
Lilith.
mother made
Lilith.
this. Yeah, Lilith. So I was just like, oh, the mother probably made this robot when she comes back, and it was just like, oh, okay, that's exactly what happened. I was just like, okay, I kind of predicted that.
Yeah. And to be fair, when it comes to like any adaptation, I feel like you don't necessarily have to know things like about the video game to get the movie. It should stand on its own, like, well, you know.
Mhm.
This one, it was very by the book though. So yeah, like you said, like, all right, well, I don't know much of this, like, and that's totally fine. You don't need to know anything. Like, the movie should contain all that information as like as a medium. You shouldn't have to do any homework to, go watch a movie. um so
Yeah, well,
but
it did feel like a video game movie because it feels like because a lot of things I like to do is like let's say I really enjoyed a game, I
mhm,
do like to kind of go on YouTube and watch somebody edits all the cutscenes
mhm,
from those games, and that's what it felt like. It's just like oh,
yeah,
there's feels like there's supposed to be some in between in these things, but it just
totally.
like it wasn't there. So that's what it kind of felt like to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, it's felt empty. I don't know. Like, that's just the thing that came to my mind, like, off the theater, like when we were walking out, and just like quick, like, what were your impressions? We didn't go in depth into it because like I wanted to have this discussion here, but yeah, that's all I could think about. It was like I just felt empty. I felt nothing. If anything, I felt a little angry because like it didn't give me that like so bad it's good at least, because like that could that alone I feel could have saved it. Like you mentioned, it's coming to streaming already, and if it's one of those movies where like, dude, you gotta check this out, it's so bad, blah blah blah. Yeah, some people would check it out. Like Madam Web had that like resurgence when it hit streaming services. So yeah, it may have bombed in theaters, but when it came to Netflix, it had like a new spark to it. Cause like, all right, like there's no way I'd pay upwards of $20 or whatever to go watch this in theater, but like it's at home. I could watch it for free now. I wouldn't even give that recommendation for Borderlands, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I would recommend watching it just to get. I mean, it's not credit. I'll give credit a little bit where it's due.
Okay.
I wasn't like, oh my god, when is this movie over? During the duration of it, I'll give it that. There are some movies out there that's not specifically video game or superhero
Hmm.
movies that just like the movie will just not end, and you're just like, God. And then, but it just, this one was like, I wasn't eager to get off of my seat, but I was just kind of like, okay,
Okay.
just things just happen. It's just I wish it had more substance because I think you brought up the point where it's like, oh, you should be able to just you don't need to know about the video game lore to enjoy the movie.
Hmm.
So I think yeah, it's if it did have a plot, I think, like me, I would have enjoyed it more if it did have a plot. I just knew of Borderlands. I'm just like, okay, I think that's the characters. Oh, the Psychos. I know them for the cover.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then everything else was just like everything is just they're just going to mission to mission. They're just trying to like going from scene to scene to scene and just kind of like, okay, nothing is I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm just like kind of like just there for the ride. Which
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was intentional, but I guess that's what I felt after coming out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And you know what else wasn't there that kind of like
Plot?
I get well, besides that, we already spoke about that, but and I get why they may have gone this direction, but the gore of it. So
Oh, I didn't know
Borderlands,
that they had gore.
yeah. So Borderlands, the video game is a very like bloody, like, well, comically bloody video game. It's rated M, and stuff like that. And so this one, it lacked all that. It also lacked all of the guns, which I guess I understand, just because like it's a movie, you can't have like all those guns, but like the game has like thousands of weapons, like different weapons, and because it's one of those looter shooters, so you'll encounter like different varieties of like the same gun and stuff like that, and that's one of the cool things about like wanting you to like keep playing, keep exploring and stuff like that. But even in the movie, they didn't like show off the weapons, and these are like some silly ass weapons. I think if I'm not mistaken, it has like a dildo weapon at one point too, unless I'm thinking about the like a different video game that's like Saints Row, because like I know that one for sure has
Saints Row,
dildos.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an open world and definitely has dildos. I'm not sure about this one, but it just has like a bunch of silly weapons. Is one of my points is. Yeah, the movie didn't have that. It like went for the PG-13 rating, so it's, and I'm not saying it needs like the gore and stuff, but like when your movie already is lacking like the story, the characters, the heart of the game or whatever, like, like you're essentially just giving us like what the characters maybe from the first game and stuff like that. But yeah, so like
Speaking
with
of the
all
characters, I'm surprised it did so bad of how many sort of
yes,
star-studded cast it was.
yeah, so like right off the bat, we have Kate Blanchett as Lilith, the main actress. Then we have Kevin Hart as Roland, Jack Black as Claptrap, Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis, and Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina. That's just like the main cast, and that's not including like the surprise guests that you see throughout. But yeah, with a cast like this, and it just seems like they were just there to cash a check, essentially. It looked like there was no like outstanding like performances or anything like that. It was just like, all right, like they're there. And one thing that I wanted to mention, now that we're talking about like celebrities and stuff, is we get that Kevin Hart is short, but like right off the bat when he goes in to rescue Tiny Tina from the cell, it's like she's like, oh, what they said? Did they send like the shortest, the shortest cop to rescue me? It's like,
Yeah.
like, so we're going there like very on the nose. It wasn't even like funny. He's like, yeah, we get it, he's short, but it's just like, all right. That kind of set the tone for the rest of the movie, where like, all right, so it looks like a lot of these jokes aren't gonna hit. All right, I guess, and they stuck with it, like that kind of humor.
Yeah, the timing is off. Like it didn't have a certain like build up before the punchline. It's just kind of like they just threw lines and lines and lines. It's just like word vomit basically.
Yeah, it's like, hey, he's short, say something about that. Like the crowd would love it, since blah blah blah. But with all that being said, we've pretty much shit on the movie like this whole review. Say something positive about the film.
It didn't put me to sleep.
That's what every movie strives to do.
Yeah, like I said, I wish I had a better, like if it was a game that I played, I think I can go into a better analysis of it, so I can just judge it for what it is and just as the movie. And like I said, it just didn't have any real substance. It had no rewards. A lot of the jokes were just kind of like
There.
hit and miss. Like a lot of times it was misses, a lot of times I laughed. Positive, I mean, I wasn't bored. Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't bored. I wasn't. It didn't put me to sleep, but I definitely wouldn't catch this movie again if I had to. But I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that just, I don't know. I guess time will tell how I really feel about it the deeper I look into it, or if I eventually do come across, if I dust off my 360 and then just decide to plug it in, because I do have the Game of the Year edition for Borderlands 3, but I mean, nothing was really, really, really.
And this
nothing. Even like the psychos, like when they were into that cave, and then it was like they were trying to make this big deal about, oh, they're the psychos that psychos are afraid of, and there were a bunch of pushovers. They were getting killed left and right, and just like you had this build up for nothing, and it's just like that's the perfect example of this movie. It's just like
build up to
build it up for
nothing. It's a
nothing.
great way to say it. Yeah, for me, the positive thing would be maybe
Oh, I
Claptrap.
didn't go with the positive, but yeah, that I guess that's my
Well,
positive. It didn't put me to sleep.
yeah, that's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Borderlands fans. I'm just like it. Just
and this
this
coming from
movie
someone
wasn't
that's way
it.
more positive on it than I am, because like
Yeah.
I definitely was bored a lot of the time, um not to the point where I was gonna walk out, but definitely to the point where it's just like, all right, come on, let's get over this. Like, um clearly I'm not gonna get much from this film, so let's just end it. But they kept just like pushing, like, oh, let's go from set piece to set piece to set piece. But yeah, on a positive thing, once again, we're going up the thing. But like the yeah, for me it was maybe Claptrap.
My goodness!
Like he was funny, he was humorous. I find Claptrap's humor yeah, funny. Because like in the games, I don't mind him. Like I said, people don't really like him in the games. Because like he just won't shut up. I thought he was funny. Yeah. That's Claptrap. Yeah, because it's just I don't know. I'm just disappointed that it couldn't even give me a so bad it's good kind of thing. Because like at least then I'd be like, oh yeah, like it's questionable. But yeah, with that being said, I do have like a few like facts about the movie. So it was directed by Eli Roth. Did you know it was shot in 2021?
Really?
Yeah, so it was shot in 2021, and supposedly it was finished in 2022. So it's been worked on for like quite a while.
Okay. So, because I heard that it's been worked on, but one thing I was gonna kind of give the excuse to the movie for is maybe it's because of that writer strike that they maybe didn't. It wasn't
no,
done
it was
properly, but yeah, it was way after before then, huh? So
yeah.
sorry, sorry,
Yeah,
Borderlands.
and
I try to be
like
on your side, but I just can't figure. I can't come to an argument here.
yeah, I'm sorry. I just keep knocking it down. And like I had mentioned earlier, so Eli Roth, he did originally shoot the movie with an R rating in mind, but then they had to like lower it down to PG-13, which was done with reshoots from Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool. Yeah, just like to give you like the tone of it, but yeah, even then, I guess maybe like the reshoots may have been a reason why it wasn't like it didn't like really hit, and the fact that like by that point, because it had been so long, Eli Roth had moved to his next project, so Tim Miller had to come on board and direct these reshoots. And
'Cause
when it
I know you know more about like the behind the scenes process than I do. What's the reason for a reshoot?
look, reshoots like for this one is like they had rewrites. So like I said, Eli Roth was he did it for like an R rating, so he had like that mood, that setting, all that stuff. So when they do rewrites, either in during production or post production, and or after the movie has wrapped, like it seems like this case, the reason for like reshoots is like because they didn't capture everything that they needed to capture for like a scene to work, or like this one it was rewritten to PG-13, so they'd have to like reshoot like either some like dialogue and stuff like that. And it
So I
looks
guess
like
a couple of big wigs kind of said you need to move it down to PG-13, and
yeah, maybe they like I said, maybe they just wanted to get as many people's butts in their seats. And
yeah.
it's well known that it's harder to do with an R-rated film than a PG-13, because PG-13 like all the teenagers can go, and especially if that's a target demographic, in which in this case it's a video game adaptation. So definitely like, oh yeah, let's go let's aim for those teenage boys to come to like watch this movie, as opposed to like, you know, a R-rated film where like, all right, they have to be 18 and over and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's what happened. I don't know, obviously I wasn't there, but let's see. Yeah, I guess that's it for like the. Oh yeah, so another fun fact that I had, I did have jotted down, but it escaped my mind. You know, we did bring up The Last of Us earlier, And fun fact that he was attached to write the screenplay of Borderlands. Craig Mazin, who did The Last of Us,
Yeah.
was attached to this. But then I don't know what happened. I don't know if like plans fell through, and he ended up not writing, not being attached to Borderlands in the end. But yeah,
I mean, it looked like they went through a lot of behind the scenes, but it might have to do a little bit with the movie and the way it came out. But I mean, yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know, maybe the rewriting portion of it kind of threw it off, but even like nothing,
I doubt
like,
it.
nothing about the
No.
movie. Oh, you doubt it? Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, even like, something else popped into mind about that movie that kind of like was indicative of how like there was no rewards or no substance to anything. It's even like Kevin Hart's character was supposed to be like this ex-soldier, and I guess he had relations with another commander, and she was killed, and he had like a split second of emotion of like no, and then the whole thing is just forgotten about the rest of the movie, and it's just kind of like, wait, like you're not sad about this, you just lost someone that you were really close to, and
Like
I don't know,
no.
nothing about thing is like a build up or like with rewards. It's just a big like just like a factory, just like move it along and just like let's just finish out this movie kind of a deal.
Yeah. And then, like, while we're speaking of Kevin Hart, I feel like he was miscast as well. Because, like, when you hear Kevin Hart, you think, like, oh, cool, he's going to be, like, a more comedic character, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah, very high energy.
Yeah.
It was very low energy.
He definitely wasn't that this film. So I feel like, I mean, kudos to him for trying something else. But this character definitely wasn't a Kevin Hart-esque character, which he doesn't need to be all the time, but, like, definitely for a movie like Borderlands, where like it's known for its humor, his character definitely wasn't like delivering any like punchlines or any jokes. But
yeah, I mean, if the tone is like high energy comedic, if the game is, I mean, if it's like high energy, fast paced, like joke after joke, then I think Kevin Hart would kind of be a good cast for it. You would think so, but I mean, yeah, like I mean, I know like actors like Jim Carrey, they go from like comedian to serious movies. So I don't think a comedian doesn't necessarily have to always be in a comedy movie, but it just I don't know what happened. It's just kind of like I don't like. It's just this movie was just I don't know. I'll just make sound effects because I can't come up with words to describe this movie.
For me it was empty. For you it was wow.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and with that being said, do you expect a sequel for Borderlands?
I'd be shocked if there was, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And would you watch it?
Yes, I would. Oddly enough, I kind of would watch it again.
I probably would too, honestly. Because why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Second chances
Especially
or whatever.
This summer has been very slim as far as movies were concerned, so I'm like, yeah, that's might be one of the reasons why we would decide. I mean, we would have watched the movie anyway, but there's a lot of slim pickings this summer, so
yeah,
might as well.